What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I have been playing Motorfest a bit recently. You know what? There is something I did want to talk about today. And look, I'm also going to be real and say that I have not been playing Motorfest nearly as often as I used to, which I'm probably going to guess and say many players are probably in a similar boat. They're most likely going to log on Wednesdays, do the entire summit, and most likely call it a day. Like, yeah, we're going to have the grand race and stuff in there, but I gotta be real, guys, I don't really play it that much. I'm just honestly kind of bored of it, like it's the only PvP thing in the game. And that's the thing though, I feel like a lot of player no, and that's the thing, I feel like a good amount of the player base might end up being slightly similar to that, to where they might be like, okay, let me do this summit, I have most of the cars, I have this stuff. There's not going to be all that much stuff that you really can do in the game, at least post content, once you do end up completing every single playlist and stuff, which I would say that really is going to be a big issue in Motorfest, man. Like, the entire endgame part of this really is going to be a problem. And with that, though, is going to be the main question I did want to ask everybody. Will Motorfest's update schedule last long term? This is something I have been asking myself over the past few months, even before the big Year 2 update came out. I mean, heck, guys, I was legitimately thinking about this probably around maybe 8, 9 months ago, way earlier in the game's life cycle. And now here we are going into 2025. The game's been out, what, like 16 months or something like that? Maybe 15 months or something. But either way, though, we all do know the game is obviously not going to be new anymore, and we're going to have a year of said updates coming out with it. The thing is, though, with the entire schedule being around 4 months on the game's updates, is that truly going to last long term? Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying releasing content every 4 months wouldn't work if you are releasing enough stuff to really keep players engaged the entire 4 months and really make them want to get on the game and play it at least once a week, or probably, which is what everyone's doing right now, but a few times a week playing it, enjoying the game a lot. But if there's not a ton of things to offer and you're going to be waiting 4 months for another update to come out to then go, okay, well, that's all we're getting, so now I have to wait another 4 months for the next thing. And the reason why I think this is a problem is probably coming down to what they are releasing in the updates itself. I mean, we all do know, guys, that yes, we got the big island in the Year 2 update. I understand that. It is going to be a beautiful island, but again, without the lovely chase squad on it, it is going to be pretty dang empty, if I say so myself. There's going to be, what, like 5 or 6 events around the entire thing. Yeah, it's going to be a new island you can explore, but the thing is, though, how many times you'll be able to do that until you are going to be looking for something else to do on it? That's why I was kind of confused when they were like, okay, well, here's the new island. I was like, okay, well, we probably have to have at least 3 or 4 big playlists releasing on it. That way, the island's not going to be empty. But here we are basically 3 months after that update, or around like 2 or so months, basically heading into March, which is when the big Season 6 update is coming. But the thing is, what is going to really release in that one? One thing I was thinking about is if they do end up releasing one playlist, man, I'm gonna honestly probably have a rant video. We all do know players are probably looking to play the game, but one playlist release every 4 months, bro. Anybody else think that is probably not going to work? Like, yeah, they're going to have 7, 8, 9 events in that said playlist. Cool. The only thing is, once most people do the playlist, they basically forget about them. I would probably guess almost every playlist in the game, if you are new, you could probably get every single one done in, what, like an hour, maybe 2 max if you take your time with it. And the events, if you're rushing through the events, you could probably do all the events in legit an hour, sometimes even less than 1 hour to get them all completed. This is probably going to be an issue because players might jump on with the big Season 6 update. We are most likely going to have a Red Bull or whatever that playlist is in that update. And I'm going to guess right now and say it's probably going to have 8 to 10 of the lovely events in it. Then you're most likely going to have 25 challenges. You're going to have these side activities, which I'm probably going to say all these side activities will be on Maui and stuff. And I would like to hope that every single new event is also going to be on Maui. Then we're also going to have the 25 challenges, some rewards and stuff in that timeline. Most likely going to have a title in it, which is funny because we could probably come back to this video and laugh about it when it does end up releasing. But the thing is, having rewards like a title in there, guys, no one really cares about that stuff. Like, yeah, you're going to go through the entire lovely playlist, then it's done, right? Okay, every time I do a playlist, I'm like, okay, so what do I do next? Summit's already going to be completed, all the playlists are done. I do understand you could probably go after cards and stuff, but Gotta admit though, making money in this game is definitely going to be a bit more difficult than the Crew 2 was. So if you are looking to buy a lot more cars, you're most likely going to be here longer periods of time, which I don't know if they were trying to do that. Maybe that was part of the plan. The entire like whole conspiracy of player retention. Honestly, in some ways it kind of looks real. Now don't get me wrong, I don't know if this is going to be completely true with Motorfest or even any other game in general, but then again though, if you look at a game and see how grindy it is or most likely taking away certain things, like for example on the legend points guys here in the menu, if you go over to this, you are probably going to notice that the main thing to make money and stuff in this game is only maxed out at 20 points to this day. This is also going to play into the fact that we still have the legend points that we cannot use over a year into the game, so I'm wondering, are they going to update this? Are they going to do things with it? And I was noticing players going, well, maybe they will end up changing it so we can use it. Here we are, guys, a year into the game. I really want to see more things like this added, and I feel like something like this would end up making a lot more players go, okay, so I could put like 50 points on Rich or 50 points on Legend. That way you can make more money in the game and most likely enjoy the events in the summits even more often, and also the events in the game itself with all of the insane playlists everywhere. Let's be honest, guys, not having any of the boosts and stuff active on the playlist doesn't give you a reason to play it, which I really think they should do something like that to keep players enjoying the game more often, instead of releasing one playlist going, okay guys, enjoy this, it's going to be a beautiful cinematic thing, you watch, you play through it, and you're like, okay, that was cool, but now what do I do? I'm not going to get like a money boost. The events in this one don't pay that much. Not really enjoying that race or that one, so why am I going to do the playlist again? And that was something I was seeing many people saying on like Discord and different social media platforms, saying, okay, well the playlists are cool, but once they're done, there's not a reason to play them again. This is also why, guys, in the past videos, man, I have been making videos about these ideas legit for like 8 months now. It's kind of insane. But legit, you guys want to know an easy way over there at Ivory Tower to make players do the playlist more often? I got the easiest solution in the world to that. Have every single playlist on a weekly rotation having a money and an XP bonus on them. That way players might look and go, oh look, the Hawaii Scenic Tour is going to be the bonus this week. Oh look, we got the American Muscle. Oh, we have the 911 Legacy. That is most likely going to give players a bigger reason to do them because boom, they're going to be getting something better out of it instead of like some rinky-dink money and all that stuff. Which I gotta admit though, if you're like me and many of the other players that are most likely on Motorfest, you probably did end up coming over from the Crew 2, so you probably have most of the vehicles already. So you might already have a ton of money to begin with, so you might not even need the money from those playlists, which honestly that's probably going to be a separate video with like the entire game basically not having anything for existing players besides grand races. But again, guys, I feel like all of this can play into the simple factor of the update schedule. Having the right things come out every 4 months can definitely work if, again, there's going to be enough content coming out in every single thing. The only issue with this, though, and I do know people were talking about this in other videos, I was basically going over if Motorfest was a downgrade compared to the Crew 2, right? I did notice people were saying, well, you're comparing a game that's going to be 7 years old or 6 years old or whatever to like Motorfest being a year old. That is going to be true to an extent. Like, yeah, that game got a ton of updates, been out for a while. But the thing is, though, the entire first year of updates in the Crew 2, though, every single one was bigger than every update we had in Motorfest. We're getting updates in the Crew 2 that was legit getting us different classes like hovercrafts. We also got monster trucks and different races and stuff added. There was all kinds of different things being added every time they updated it, which I feel like in Motorfest, is it just me or is all the updates a lot smaller in this game compared to what the Crew 2 did end up having? Now, I don't know if it's going to be the entire fact that the game is new. Maybe they can, like, you know, speed everything up, which I would say that's the biggest thing they have to do for TCM. They need to speed up the updates, they have to get more stuff into it, and there's going to be a few different factors on why I do end up saying that. Number one, right now, we all do know all we have for PvP again is going to be the grand races. Now, part of me wonders if they're ever going to add class-based PvP, and you might be wondering, well, what do you mean by that, Block? Well, let's ask the Moose here and take a ride out, because we might honestly need to if this is going to be a correct statement. I might end up galloping up on the Moose as well, because that's probably the only way out. The thing is, though, the grand race is like the big selling point of Motorfest, right? If they were to add the other class-based PvP, that would most likely end up taking away people in grand races. You would then end up most likely having issues finding a full lobby in grand races. Maybe there might be less players in it, and it might take even longer to get into a match-made race or something like that, right? The thing is, though, if they were to add something like Street Tier 2 races, only Hypercar, only Alpha GP, only Motocross, I'm willing to bet right now that is where everybody is going to be. At least that's what I am guessing. Is that going to be the main reason why they haven't added class-based racing, though? Because they do not want to take away from grand racing? Let me know what y'all think about that. Honestly, it does kind of make sense. The thing is, though, we really do need more stuff like that added for PvP, whether it's going to be class-based stuff, maybe they can do something else with grand races. They've really got to mix things up, guys, especially going into Season 6. We're legit heading into a year and a half of Motorfest being out. Right now, I'm going to say something. I'm not sure how players are going to take it, but with the current update schedule right now on Motorfest, guys, with the way they are releasing content every 4 months, only adding one playlist, maybe a second one might end up showing up, unless they start adding something like the Maui Expedition thing that was added, which was obviously not a playlist, it was one event. That is probably not going to work, adding something like that halfway through a season with one new race. Am I right? That probably won't work. But the thing is, though, with the current rate, I really do not see this game lasting anywhere close to 5 years. And the reason I do say that, though, is there's a lot of fundamental issues wrong with Motorfest, whether it's going to be the main stage, pretty much not having any reasons to really even level up because there's nothing in it to go through the entire timeline. Then we're going to have the custom show, which is going to be a whole nother problem with it being completely broken. And then, of course, we're going to have these summits, which have pretty much been the exact same thing over a year right now being into Motorfest. And you might even be wondering where I am going with this, but to be real, the biggest thing I want to see is seeing other areas of the game also being updated when we do end up seeing these bigger quote-unquote updates coming out every 4 months. Like, yeah, the playlist is going to be cool, guys. I've talked about that in a lot of videos. If the playlists are going to take that much time to make, honestly, just stop making them that complicated. Don't add all that crazy stuff into them. Don't have these small stories behind it. Let's be real, most players are probably not even paying attention to them. They're basically jumping in, doing the events, and that is pretty much it. They're having all this crazy backstory, all these things around the playlists and stuff. Like, yeah, they might be cool, but they're probably taking too much time on those. Wouldn't you guys rather see updates to, like, the main stage, maybe changes to the summit? Again, maybe some new PvP stuff would be absolutely wonderful. Maybe an overhaul to the entire custom show, or honestly, maybe even get rid of it, because it really does not work that great in the game with how it's designed. Everybody's like having like an RNG thing of trying to get some rewards, which is also probably why some of the other rewards in the game are awful, or going to be completely reused, which I am going to have a video on that, by the way, because I feel like they probably could have used those rewards in other things, but they wanted to have something else, which is now going to be the custom show. And oddly enough, nobody seems to be liking the custom show. Who would have thought? Am I right? But regardless, though, I have been thinking about this a lot recently. I really do want Motorfest to succeed. But at this point, guys, again, we're going to be, what, 15 months into it or so, heading over to Season 6 after the biggest update ever with the island. That at the moment is going to be completely empty. Is one playlist going to be able to fill in that island every 4 months? I would probably say not really, because that's going to be, what, 6 to 10 events? Most likely not going to be enough. Also considering there's, what, like 14 classes in the game, or 12 or something, those are all going to need special events. Like, yeah, you can go over and do the same events on that said playlist with every single vehicle, but that is just going to add on to a grinding factor that a lot of players might not want to deal with, especially if you have everything. There isn't going to be a huge reason to do the custom show because you most likely already have everything in it. So why are you going to go after prestige tickets if you can't even exchange them for anything? And you guys can probably see where this entire cycle is going. I feel like things like that really do bother me, and also other players as well. And here's the other thing with that, though. Looking at the prestige ticket shop here, guys, this is something else I did want to point out, because I have been talking about the entire update schedule. Don't y'all think they probably should have a lot more stuff in this entire custom shop legit right now? We all do know there's not going to be a ton. They're probably waiting every season or so, and they're going to add more items to it. There is so many vehicles and stuff in the game that were from the Crew 2. There's vanity items they can have in here. And that's the thing, though. I feel like in some ways they are most likely not adding more stuff into the prestige shop, at least more often. That way it's going to look like they're adding new stuff at least every single season, and it's most likely going to be a ton of like drip feed type of stuff or something, which I do feel like that can work, but also if players already are expecting it, or even worse, if most players probably own everything in here, then they are most likely going to look at the custom shop and go, okay, this is cool, but I already have everything in it, which is then going to make players go, okay, so I don't need prestige tickets, can I turn them into something? But no, you cannot. I'm sure you guys can probably see where I'm going with this. Like, yeah, we're going to have the new update in Season 6 that's focused on Red Bull stuff, but I personally would like to see more stuff added into these updates addressing other issues that legitimately everybody has been asking for. Do not get me wrong, I like having new cars in the game, but at the moment, we have almost 750 vehicles in Motorfest. A lot of cars are really cool, but let's be real, most of the vehicles kind of stink. I would say a lot of people can't agree with that, and on top of it, you can end up having around 1,000 vehicles in the game, but if there's nothing to truly do with them, why would you end up having that big of a car list, especially if a lot of the cars aren't even that good? We all do know there's going to be like an entire meta thing to where you can definitely tell some cars are going to be way better than other ones. Overall though guys, the biggest thing I have to say though is I really hope they end up getting the updates out quicker, and also on top of that I hope they most likely speed it up. I mean, they probably need to not do every 4 months if they're only adding one playlist and stuff. It really does need to see like an entire new racetrack in Red Bull. They pretty much should have all kinds of new stuff in there. Other things need to be addressed, and who knows, maybe we might end up getting more PvP stuff added as well. The reason why I do say that is I would say at the moment, again, I do not see this game going 5 years. In fact, at the current update schedule right now, I don't know if it can even go 3 years. Do let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I feel like a lot of people are going to agree. We all want Motorfest to do great, but currently going down the path that it is right now, I feel like it's draining players, and it's most likely only going to get worse unless they start addressing this stuff and truly adding what players have been asking for. Whether that's going to be the main stage getting fixed up a bit, more PvP events on top of it, maybe the summit getting overhauled, and then the final thing on top of all of that is going to be the custom show. Like we all do know, that has to have some type of rework, which I really do hope we do end up seeing in Season 6. The thing is, if they start implementing things, doing small things like that, then yeah, people are like, okay, so they are going to be listening. And I really do hope Year 2 in Motorfest really is going to be the big turning point for it. That way we're going to have bigger updates, more stuff added into them, similar to what the Crew 2 had a long time ago. I feel like having that stuff in there, more stuff being in each update, seeing other things being addressed, really is what needs to happen. If we do end up seeing Season 6 right now, I'm going to call this, guys. We get one new playlist. There's not going to be a ton of stuff in there. There's going to be a couple of vehicles. Cars are going to be cool again, but we definitely need real content. Do let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. I think we can probably all agree right now that the entire update schedule for Motorfest I think we can probably all agree right now that the entire updates for... No. I think we can probably all agree at this point, though, being into Year 2 here in TCN, that the entire update schedule, if they keep following this route, is probably not going to end all that well for it. And do stay tuned for the next video where I will end up going over why I think they need to stop reusing content in Motorfest from the Crew 2. I do understand the games are connected, but you know what? I really want to see new stuff added.